Number one, don't wait for opportunities in life, make them. I'm not one of these universe people. Like, you make your universe. Number two, when you get an opportunity, don't take it, master it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the None of Your Business podcast. And today, you guys are in for an absolute treat because we have America's dentist. And that's one of the things too that I'm gonna dive into is I love this, how we can create a personal brand and position ourselves as being preeminent, as being premier. But this isn't just some marketing trick. Dr. Dorfman has been in the field of dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, for over 40 years. He's established himself as one of the most trustworthy and reliable brands in the field. And I know that, listen, no matter what it is that you do, you want to be the most preeminent accountant, the lawyer, the chiropractor, the physical therapist. And so we've brought along the dentist who has managed to do that for himself. And just like in every single case, this is not because his father was a dentist and handed him this giant practice and this giant list of clients that he's built upon. He's done all of this from scratch, maybe even less than zero, less than where many of you may feel that you are today. He's a true inspiration, and he is going to teach us how we can apply these constructs in our own lives and our own business. Dr. Dorfman, thank you for being here.
Thank you, thank you.
I want to start out with, because exactly that. On the podcast, usually people see you, they see you on TV, they see you with all of your success, your philanthropic efforts, giving back, and it is very easy to fall into the trap, and it literally is a trap of saying, well, that's because that's Dr. Dorfman. He probably had advantages that I didn't have, because anybody who's getting started, they want to accelerate from where they are to where you are instantaneously, and what's missing is the gap. And I oftentimes tell people, rather than asking Dr. Dorfman, how do you do it today? A better question is, how did you get here? And I know that this is a really impactful question for you because your journey doesn't start at the top. Can you share with us some of the key moments of how do you get here?
You know, I think one of the most important things for any entrepreneur is to understand your environment. And I'll tell you what I did, that absolutely wouldn't work today.
Okay.
Because it's a completely different world.
Yes.
I mean, we didn't even have cell phones. There were dinosaurs when I was a kid. You know what I mean? It's a whole new world. So, you know, all the things that I did that kind of brought me to where I am today change. And then the things that I need to do to stay where I am continue to change, you know? So let's start at the beginning. You know, I was a little kid. I fell down and I knocked out all my baby teeth. We happen to have an amazing family dentist. We lost him about 2 years ago, Richard Feinstein. And, you know, where most kids would go to the dentist and be scared to death, he was just so good with me. I actually became fascinated with what they were doing to kind of fix me up so I'd have, you know, normal teeth when I grew up. And it just stuck. And I thought, I want to do this for people. So even at 3 years old, when people said, what do you want to do when you grow up? I'm like, I want to be a dentist. You know, like what 3-year-old says that? I was a weird kid. So it stuck. And I went through dental school. After dental school, I went and I did a residency in Switzerland. Why? Well, I grew up so poor. We never traveled. I never was on an airplane. And I thought, you know, if I'm going to be tethered to LA for the next how many years, I want to see the world first. So I heard about this clinic in Switzerland. They had 400 applicants for one spot. And I was bound and determined to get that. I had every instructor in my dental school write me a letter of recommendation. That didn't work. Then I started calling the director. That didn't work. And then I tell kids, and we'll talk about my LEAP program, but you will have life-defining moments in your life. Sometimes you plan them, and sometimes they just happen. And I don't even know where this came from, but on one of these phone calls, when I realized I wasn't moving the needle at all, I said to him, can I take you to lunch? He goes, you're in San Francisco, I'm in Lausanne, Switzerland. I said, that's okay, I'll fly there. Which was even funnier because I was poor as poor could be. But he said yes, and I did it. And I think I'm the only one of the 400 applicants that actually took him to lunch, and he hired me.
Wow.
And it changed the entire trajectory of my life. I mean, I got to live in Europe. Je parle français maintenant. I couldn't speak a word of French. I'm fluent in French now. And it just opened my mind to all these things. And then I came back. I started practicing dentistry. And then another, life-changing event happened. A woman I went to high school with came in and needed a lot of work, but didn't have a lot of money, and said, I'll barter with you. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? She says, well, I'll do my services. I said, well, what do you do? She says, I'm a publicist. I'm like, okay, what do you do? I didn't know. I was a dentist. They don't teach you about publicists in dental school. So she told me, and to be honest with you, I absolutely didn't think it would help me at all, but I felt so bad for her. I'm like, okay, we'll give it a try. She was amazing. Within 2 months, she had me in every major magazine in LA. She had me listed by LA Magazine as the best cosmetic dentist in LA. She sent the whole staff from LA Magazine to my office, so they all knew me. They started writing articles about me. I mean, she was phenomenal. Susan Hartzler, I love you. And she started it, and it grew and it grew and it grew. And then, again, life-changing moment. One day I'm sitting at work and I get a call from Howard Schultz. Not Starbucks Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz, who created ABC's hit show Extreme Makeover. And Dr. Garth Fisher recommended me. He already had committed to the show. And Howard called me and told me about this new show. This was the birth of reality TV. And I was a little reluctant to commit to doing it because I was really worried that, it didn't have the right tone, and I wanted to make sure that this was a good thing and that the patients were getting treated well. And he assured me that they were and that it would, and I committed to doing it. And we shot a pilot. It was the highest rated pilot for ABC that year. All I did was Zoom tooth whitening on 3 patients. I invented the Zoom tooth whitening. When ABC asked me how much I wanted to be compensated, I said, you don't need to pay me. The exposure is great, right? And it aired, and then we got picked up for 24 episodes. And the very first episode, a woman came in who needed 20 veneers, 10 uppers, 10 lowers. And at the time, that was about $30,000. So I was told to call ABC and tell them what it would cost. And they had a meltdown. They're like, Doc, $30,000? We had no idea that dentistry was this expensive. I said, well, it is. I said, well, what do you want me to do? They said, well, can you just do 3 veneers? I'm like, her teeth are black. Like, which 3 should I make white, And then another life-changing moment. I got my agent, Janine Lee, who's been with me for 25 years, on the phone, and we made a deal with ABC. So every single person on Extreme Makeover, the plastic surgeons, the weight trainers, the hairstylists, the nutritionists, every single person on that show got paid except me, the dentist. And I'll tell you what the deal I made was. I'll do all the dentistry for free under 3 conditions. Number 1, I'm the only dentist. They had 20 plastic surgeons. I wanted to be the only dentist. Number 2, you needed to highlight Zoom tooth whitening in every episode. Now, you could never get that on reality TV today. Never, ever, ever, right? And number 3, I wanted them to allow me to call the veneers I was doing Da Vinci veneers. Why? Because I didn't want to do the dentistry for free and then have a $15,000 lab bill. And they agreed, right? In perpetuity. So as a net result, that year, our company had grown, Discus Dental, to about $76 million in sales. That first year on ABC's Extreme Makeover, we did 101 million. The second year, we did 134 million. And the third year, we did almost $200 million in sales. So ABC didn't pay me, that's okay.
That's awesome. I want to go back, Susan. Was that Susan, the publicist?
Susan Hartzler.
I want to talk about the gap between you opening and Susan coming in. Were there ever, in launching your business, tell us about any doubts? Because that was what we were talking about a little bit earlier, right?
So I'm completely the most abnormal person you've ever met. I've never doubted anything. I just go balls to the wall. I mean, I've never thought, oh, this might not work. Like, I never fail, ever. You know why? Because if I do something and it doesn't come out the way I want it to, I don't say, oh, I failed. I'm like, okay, that was practice. Then I do it again and again and again and again and again and again until I find what I need to do to make it get successful, right? And one of the things that is kind of a mind shift, we all say practice makes
Perfect.
Wrong. Practice makes permanent. If you keep doing it the wrong way, it will never get perfect, right? So what you need to do when things don't turn out the way you want them to is reevaluate and do something else. And so I've never, ever failed at anything because you only fail when you give up, and I won't give up. You know, as long as it's a work in progress, I'm good.
Where do you think that mindset comes from?
I am a weird person. I'm telling you, I grew up weird. Like, even as a little kid, I knew I was weird. Like, I just knew it, and I was okay with it. Like, it didn't I wasn't depressed. I'm like, I'm just different. I knew it. I mean, I was 5 years old. I go to kindergarten. I come home, my parents sit me down, they call me Billy. Billy, how was school? I say, you know, school's good, but the kids in my class are so immature. I was like a grown-up in a little body. My whole, I've done hundreds of podcasts, right? You know, this was one that last year somebody said, did you ever get in trouble as a kid? I'm like, no. And then I thought, well, maybe I'm delirious. So I asked my parents, I said, Mom, Dad, did I ever, because I come from a family of 5 kids. I said, did I ever get in trouble? They're like, yeah, no. I always knew right from wrong, and I figured, why do it wrong when you could do it right? So I was not a normal kid by any way, shape, or form.
I love that. I love that mindset. I think it's very practical for all of us, but let's also talk about you are on the public stage. Being on television, podcasts, not just podcasts, now television interviews, national television, huge success with Zoom. We're going to talk about some of your upcoming projects. One of the things that a lot of us fear is the public perception. We fear what people might think about us. What if I try this and it doesn't work? Does that ever, because we can learn from the lesson.
Yeah, never.
But it doesn't, but you don't care what anybody else is saying.
Okay, so ABC puts me on this show, right? We're going to talk about Leap in a little bit, but I always feel when students come to my program, we try and put a lot of things in their little heads, but I always feel if I can get these 2 concepts for them to really absorb and believe, I did my job. Number 1, don't wait for opportunities in life, make them. Like, I'm not one of these universe people. Like, you make your universe, right? If I meet another millennial who tells me they're waiting for the universe, I'm like, the universe is busy in like the Middle East and Europe. Like, forget the universe. You want something to happen, make it happen, right? Number 2, when you get an opportunity, don't take it, master it. That's a big difference. ABC gave me this amazing opportunity to be on. This is the first time ever that dentistry is on primetime TV in a good way. It's not Marathon Man or Little Shop of, like, it was like positive, right? And I watched the first 2 episodes of Extreme Makeover, and I stunk. I was horrible. I mean, the dentistry was good, but I looked like a deer in headlights. But at least I was smart enough to know how bad I was. What did I do? I took acting classes, hosting classes, teleprompting classes. I even went to the improv and took an improv class. And I worked and I worked and I worked on my skills to be entertaining and engaging. I mean, who can make dentistry fun on TV?
You.
Me. Yeah, I'm the only one. Nobody else has. So, as a net result, they didn't fire me because I would have fired me. That's how bad I was, right?
I want to get into some of the entrepreneurial stuff. I mentioned America's Dentist. And I think this is amazing because I don't know how, I'm going to ask how that came about. But what I do notice is that literally any of us could wake up tomorrow and decide, I am America's dentist. I am America's chiropractor. I am America's small business consultant. And start to step into that. And I love that because I can see that mindset. Like if I've decided that and I decide to master that opportunity and step into that, that establishes me and my brand as preeminent. How does that come about for you of that? Like you're just stepping into that. Was it a result of the television? It happens organically or is it a decision?
So first of all, one of the things I learned very early on my career from Sue Hartzler was the importance of having a good publicist. How many dentists have a publicist?
None.
Yeah, me. And as a result, go on ChatGPT and say, who's the best cosmetic dentist in America? I'm number one. Who is the most well-known and respected dentist in the world? Ask ChatGPT. Me. That didn't happen by accident. This is 40 years of working with great PR teams. My publicist is here right now, Jack. I've never not had a publicist the entire time I've been working as a dentist. Because if you can educate people and teach them about dentistry and the benefits of having a beautiful, healthy smile, every single person I meet is a potential patient.
Yes.
That's what I used to say about Extreme Makeover. The plastic surgeons on the show, 99% of the people that watch that show never worked with a weight trainer, never worked with a stylist, never, would go to a plastic surgeon, but everybody has teeth, right? And if you don't have teeth, you need me more, right?
Yes.
So there's always an opportunity there.
Tell me then the book. Does that come about as
So-
actually? Let me back up.
Well,
one second.
wait. This
Okay.
is really funny. Okay, so what does it say at the top of this book?
New York Times bestseller.
New York Times bestseller. So I got approached by Jan Miller, who writes celebrity self-help books, and she said, "Doc, I think you should write a book on cosmetic dentistry." I said, "No, I'm not writing a book. You're writing a New York Times bestseller." She goes, "Well, that's kind of cocky." I go, "No, it's not. I'm going to figure out how you do it." So I did research, and I found a company called Promote a Book, and they make New York Times bestsellers. And I met with the guy, his name is Michael Drew, and he said, at the time, now things have changed, but at the time he said, in order to become a New York Times bestseller, you need to sell 20,000 copies of the book in the first 2 weeks. I said, okay, I have 100,000 dentists buying product from me every month. We rate them A, B, C, D, F. In our A and B group, we have exactly 20,000 dentists. What if I buy the book for them as a gift? Does that count? Well, back then, yes. Today, no. So I did. I bought 20,000 dentists a copy of my book, and I was a New York Times bestseller overnight.
That's fantastic.
But wait, it gets better. Then you had to buy it at full price, which I did. And I said, hey, all the money I make from this book is going to go to my LEAP Foundation. If you'd like to buy additional copies, you can buy them at half price, right? We made $300,000 for my LEAP Foundation from this book.
Wow. Wow.
And I was a New York Times bestseller. And when you're a New York Times bestseller, you get to do Rosie and The Tonight Show and Oprah and all these other things. So it was like not just a win-win, it's like a win-win-win.
Yes, yes. So I want to back up one, because if you are saying and talking about the importance of your publicist, And for anybody who's watching, anybody who listens to the podcast, this is for them a novel idea. But you're saying, listen, this is critical. Tell us, how does that work? Like, so for any other person, you are advocating, like, listen, you should have a publicist.
Right.
And they're thinking like, yeah, but I don't even know how it works. Tell us how it works to have a publicist.
Okay, that was then, this is now.
Yeah.
Now, you need social media.
Okay.
And a publicist will help with social media as well, but you can't become quote unquote famous without social media today. It's a different world. Social media didn't even exist when we grew up, right? So, you know, Instagram comes out. I've got 3 daughters. They're like, Dad, you should try this. I'm not gonna do this. So I just hired a team. So I have a team that does my Instagram. I have 2.4 million followers, more than any other dentist in the world. Not my credit, the team. You know, but at least knowing what you need to know to become successful is half the battle. And then hiring the right people to make that happen is the other half.
So clearly, not only do you have clinical skill, you are an artist in your trade, you have that entrepreneurial bug.
Yeah,
so
it's
Zoom
fun.
Zoom whitening. Let's start there. Like, why you're killing it as a cosmetic dentist? Why all of a sudden do you start tinkering around and decide that you're going to go into creating this whitening?
So in 1989, tooth whitening entered the market, and the original product was called White and Bright by Omni, and it was crap. It tastes bad. It almost made you throw up. It was disgusting, and it came in a baggie. So and this is another thing that's really funny about my life. Every huge opportunity in my life came as a result of some philanthropic venture. So, okay, this was the 80s. I'm at the gym, I'm working out, and this woman, Cynthia Hearn, changed my life. She came up to me and she said, Doc, would you like to help raise money for children's cancer research? Well, who could say no to that? I didn't know her. I'm like, well, yeah, but like, I'm just starting. I don't really have a lot. She goes, that's okay. We need 10 men. She goes, you are single, right? I go, yeah. She goes, and you are a dentist, right? I go, yeah, this is weird. She goes, well, we're doing a bachelor auction. We have 1,000 women coming. We need 10 men we could sell. Okay? I'm like, all right, I did it. Now, that was weird, but the guy in line next to me is my best friend in life, Robert Heyman. Robert's the son of Fred Heyman, who created Beverly Hills. Robert grew up in the cosmetic industry, and we became really good friends. And I'm like, hey, Robert, we should make a whitening product because the stuff out there is crap. Well, who knew, but the chemists who make perfume can also make whitening gel. So we used Fred Heyman's chemists to create our first product called Night White, and then Zoom, and then Day White, and then Bright Smile, and. But that was the beginning of a company that we grew from literally 0 to $1.3 billion in sales, and we sold it in 2010 to Philips.
Because you are tenacious, you don't believe that you will fail, you will learn instead. And you are a genius at marketing.
It's called building a better mousetrap.
Love it.
You know, we were the first dental product marketed as a cosmetic. Tooth whitening is not a medical procedure. It's a cosmetic. So Robert and I went to Nordstrom's, Saks, Macy's, and we looked at the cosmetic counters and how all of the cosmetics were being sold, and we copied them. And we were the first dental company to hire beautiful professional models for all of our billboards and ads and everything. And we became known as like the marketing gurus in dentistry. And we built a team. We did all of our advertising in-house. At our height, we had 750 employees worldwide.
So now you start tinkering around, and now you've got a couple new products coming out. Tell us about what you've drawn up in the lab.
As a dentist, you can't really practice during a pandemic. And I'm sitting at home bored. And I couldn't hang out with my daughters because they all kept getting COVID because they thought this was like a big holiday, right? So they're out like at parties every night. So I'm sitting home alone, and I thought, okay, I need to do something. So the first thing I did was I invented Pooof. So the #1 take-home tooth whitening product on the market are strips, right? So my goal was to make a better tooth whitening strip, and we did it. Pooof is a vanishing whitening strip. So when you put the strip on your teeth, it melts in 15 minutes. So you don't have to take out that gross plastic thing at the end of the day. And we put more hydrogen peroxide in it. So we're 37% more effective than the leading whitening strip in a 10-day in vitro study. We just hit the market. We're on Amazon now. We'll soon be in Target and Walmart and every place else where you could buy it. But these strips are amazing. They taste great. It's a zero sensitivity formula. And again, it's about building a better mousetrap. Looking what's on the market, looking at what's selling, and then making a product that's better. And if you notice, how did I spell Pooof?
3 O's.
You know why? What? That way I own all the social and everything. Nobody else ever spelled Pooof with 3 O's. If I spelled it with 2 O's, I'd have so much competition. So this way I locked it up, just like Spanx. Copy genius. That's another thing we teach at Leap, copy genius. So we spelled it with 3 O's, and this is going to explode. We've already got accounts all over the Middle East, in Europe, and everywhere. I mean, and we just launched it, and I hired a great PR firm called Grow, G-R-O, and they're going to market the smithereens out of this. So we're super excited.
Love it. And then tell us about the gum. I actually love the story. Make sure you tell us how this comes about, because I love this.
So, by the way, tagline, stains disappear, strips disappear, and poof, your teeth are white, right?
Yep.
Okay, the gum, it's called Kickballs, right? So I hate coffee, but I love caffeine, right? So what I used to do is whenever I felt like I needed a little coffee pick-me-up, I would use No-Dose, which is 200 milligrams of caffeine. Well, I found if I chewed the No-Dose, instead of having to wait 30 minutes, it worked in like 10 minutes, right? But it doesn't taste that great. So my company, Discus Dental, had a gumball called Breathorex gumballs for fresh breath. So I would pop a gumball, put in the No-Dose, and chew it together. I thought, we should make caffeinated gum. So we did. And they're called Kickballs. Tagline for Kickballs, Kickballs, Kickballs. It took us 2 years to make 3 great flavors. Cinnamon, we've got peppermint, and we have bubble gum. That's actually delicious. We are the only caffeinated gum in the world that tastes great. We are the only caffeinated gumball on the planet. And this is exploding as well. And it's, I think, I go to the gym, I'm a big fitness fanatic, right? I take one kickball, like before I go to the gym. Seriously, I kick balls. I mean, it's a great, like, pre-workout. You know, whenever you're driving late at night and you kind of, it's so much easier to chew a kickball than to try and find a Starbucks or something like that. And caffeine gives you bad breath. I don't like the taste. And it also turns your teeth dark. And I like white teeth. So, Kickballs.
I love both of these. Oftentimes on the podcast, we have people that have different products and stuff, and they bring them along, and they do weird things. And I'm like, I'm addicted to that gel with my tray, right? And I'm always doing that.
Better. But wait, I gave you a kickball. What do you think?
Yes, and I was just going to say, I love that because I don't drink coffee, and it's not because of the caffeine, because I hate the taste.
Right.
So I shout out to Riot Energy Drink. I love Riot, USDA organic energy drink, but sometimes you're full.
Right.
Like I have to drink
that's
this big
the other thing. You have to. So our new ad says, "Would you rather chug a mug or
kick balls?"
Exactly. and you know, when you're driving long distances and you're drinking, you have to keep pulling over, right?
Yeah.
With these, you don't.
Yeah, tastes amazing. Yeah,
Thank you.
I love that.
We'll use you as our poster child.
Absolutely, anytime, anytime. I got to jump into Leap because you were talking earlier to these phases of life. And I love, not everybody that's successful enters into their giving back or their return phase. But I love the work that you are doing because sometimes even this morning, I was talking to somebody that, you know, they were telling me about their friend, they were a billionaire and they were like launching all these businesses. And I was like, but it's not really making an impact in the world. And I love your initiatives to take this entrepreneurial journey and entrepreneurial spirit and instill it in our youth. Tell us about the LEAP program and LEAP Week.
So LEAP is a program that we've done now for 18 years. This is a nonprofit. Almost 25 years ago, I was asked to come speak at a program that was a precursor for LEAP. And it was a great program. And I would come year after year. And the founder passed away. He was in his mid-80s. And I thought, you know, this is too important to vanish with him. So we resurrected it. We made a nonprofit. 60% of the kids that come to the program come from low-income families. We go out and we work with the Steve Harvey Foundation, the YMCA, the YWCA, and we get sponsors. My celebrity patients have been amazing. Richard Branson, Paula Abdul, Niecy Nash, Anthony Hopkins, Mark Wahlberg, Michael Strahan, Pentatonics, Kathy Bates, all come and speak at the program. And basically, the program is to teach students the skills that they need to become successful in life. Not just business, but in life, you know? And when we first started off and we went around the room, I said, you know, for me, you know, life is about learn so you can earn and then return. And I'm kind of in the return phase of my life. And, you know, I love what this young man said where he says, I want to leave the world a better place. We should all have that as a goal. And we've had over 10,000 kids come through my programs, and I know we changed their life. You know, we teach things they don't learn anywhere else. We teach appreciation. I actually do a whole thing on fitness and longevity. We teach networking skills. We teach how to apply for a job, how to interview for a job, how to write a resume. I mean, it's an amazing program. And each year, our only challenge is to make it better and better than it was the year before.
I would love to support you in that in any way possible. I know you have the round tables.
Well, I'll tell you the best thing that all of you could do is just get the word out.
Yeah.
You know, the program is for students aged 15 to 25. You know, and if you are in LA, on July 18th, we will have our mentor workshop where I bring in 100 different professionals from all walks of life. You should come too. You sit at a table, and every 30 minutes we rotate, and the students will get your bio the day before, so they'll know who you are, Sean, and you know they'll ask you questions about your career. And the kids that come in, I mean, I'll tell you something. We teach appreciation. Kids today need to learn that. Right? We give them a little notepad called I Appreciate Notes. And at the top it says, I appreciate, then you put the person's name, and then you say why you appreciate them. So when these speakers come, they don't charge. You know, Anthony Hopkins doesn't charge. He comes and speaks. The kids will write in I Appreciate Notes. At the end of LEAP, I got 400 I Appreciate Notes. There were 400 kids in the program. And 99% of them would say somewhere in the body of this, hey, Dr. Bill, LEAP changed my life. 99%. There's 1% that will say, hey, Dr. Bill, LEAP saved my life. And I know we did. You know, these kids come in, they have no support at home. We build a family. We give them a group of people that want to encourage them, that want to see them grow, that want to see them succeed. With social media and all this stuff, I mean, a lot of kids just feel like they're beat up over and over and over again. And we build a completely different kind of community. So if you guys know any students age 15 to 25, this is an amazing program. I already have Rob Deirdrick is coming back this year, the skateboard champ. Paula Abdul comes every year. Anthony Hopkins said he would come if they lost their house, unfortunately. But you know, it's going to be an amazing program this summer. So, and I have two of my daughters who will be speakers, who I'm incredibly proud of. Georgie Girl started a clothing line called All My Love. It's blowing up. She just got into Nordstrom's and a bunch of other big box stores, which is super exciting. And my oldest daughter, Anna, started a music career. And she has a huge following. Her name is Anna, A-N-A Sky. And she's been working with a talented young man, A.C. Burrell, who works with Diane Warren. So lots of exciting things happening.
Well, we're going to get Anna on the podcast.
Oh, she'd love it.
I'm gonna come on July 18th. I would love to support Leap Week, and I hope that a lot of other people will. And I think we should feed them tacos. We get these kids tacos and feed them, and I'm going to rally any type of support that I can for that. We're going to take some questions, but I want to thank you for pouring out into us and sharing your inspiration. The impact that you make with these young men and women, these people that come to Leap Week, is a huge impact. 400 appreciation notes, but I know that for us here, the live audience, that we all really do appreciate you. So for me, I appreciate you. Thank you for impacting our lives, changing our lives, and I'm sure for somebody that's in this room, even saving their lives. So thank you so much, Dr. Dorfman.
Thank you.